They attacked the way I looked, the way I sound.
But you would continue to tell stories that mattered.
You break the law, you threatened to break the law, you said you had killed a year ago, right? You told me that. And yet, you now have the task of keeping the rule of law. And you said you would do that also. How do you?
Because the rule of law, there must be fear.
Ressa's work is her superpower, and like a superhero, there is strength in what she does. Ressa was born in the Philippines, coming to the U.S. when she was only 10 years old when martial law was declared in the Philippines. She graduated from Princeton and moved back to the Philippines to continue her studies and started making her mark. She worked for CNN as an investigative reporter, and in 2012, she co-founded the online news organization Rappler. Ressa's been honored for being inspiring and influential. And in 2021, she got the call.
It's a great pleasure for me, Maria, to inform you that you are awarded the Nobel Peace Prize for 2021 for your courageous fight for freedom of expression in the Philippines.
Ressa wrote the book, How to Stand Up to a Dictator, part autobiography and part platform. It underscores the vital role of journalism in democracy, exposing abuses of power, holding the powerful to account, and challenging those who wield authority. She has rattled cages along the way, all while knowing how much press freedom matters, not only to the press, but to the world.
This time matters. What you do matters.
This incredible journalist. It's an honor to ask our next speaker to come forward. Please welcome Daniel Pearl's father, Judea Pearl.
Friends, I'm so deeply honored to stand before you for the 24th time at this podium and present the LA Press Club Daniel Pearl Award for courage and integrity in journalism. And today, I'm presenting the 2026 award to a special guest who flew all the way from Manila to Los Angeles, Maria Ressa. His name has become synonymous with the very idea of courage and with our tireless aspiration to protect press freedom. Her Nobel Prize lecture, Maria warned us of a new danger. Data is no longer just information, she said. It has been weaponized like plutonium. By allowing algorithms to structurally alter human behavior for profit, society has granted political powers and authoritarian leaders an open window to destroy democratic institutions from the inside out. Now, as a computer scientist specializing in artificial intelligence and machine learning, I feel partly responsible for creating this digital plutonium. Yet, as a philosopher of science, I also know that the very tools developed by AI can help us understand human behavior better, empowering us to resist becoming complicit with its spread. On a more personal level, It shouldn't surprise you to know that over the past 3 years, my heart and mind have been deeply occupied with my country of birth, Israel. Clinging to life, as she struggles to withstand not only physical threats, but a sustained, libelous assault on her moral standing. Led by outlets like Al Jazeera, and echoed even by our reputable outlets like Reuters and Associated Press. It is within this arena that Maria's warning about weaponized data that takes on a broader meaning. This dangerous plutonium is used not just by authoritarian leaders like Duterte and Putin, but by ideological forces like Iran, Qatar, and China, who aim to re-engineer our perception of reality, and they manipulate journalists to erode public trust in journalism, ultimately undermining both our democratic institution and our shared humanistic values. We should seriously indeed heed to Maria's warning and watch out carefully as we are tempted to echo the plutonium of disinformation around us. Thank you, Maria, for honoring our son Daniel by accepting this award and for continuing to inspire us with your courage, wisdom, and character.
This is what happens when you're short. First, thank you. Thank you so much. It's, as Judea and I were sitting next to each other, I kept saying, he's a Turing awardee, right? The top computer programming award. And I said, it's all your fault. And he said, maybe. But thank you. Thank you to LA Press Club. Thank you to the journalists in the room. Look, I come from the Philippines. I joke that we moved from hell to purgatory. But I worry that you have just gone to hell. You really can't go to purgatory though. So before I bring you to there, let me tell you why it is so important to me to receive the Daniel Pearl Award. I want to tell you how close Danny's story came to mine. Before Rappler, before the Nobel, before any of this, I was CNN's lead investigative reporter, and my task was to follow terrorists. Literally, I chased terrorists for a living. My first book was called Seeds of Terror. I tracked the networks that linked Al-Qaeda to Southeast Asia. The men who planned in Manila in 1994 what would years later become the 9/11 attacks. I interviewed the killers, their Filipina girlfriends, their neighbors. I went to the places no one else would go. In November 2001, I was in New Delhi tracking a man named Omar Sheikh. 2 years earlier, terrorists hijacked an Indian Airlines flight and forced India to free him from prison. He walked out, and the world let him go. I was building that story, and then Omar Sheikh offered me an interview in Karachi. I wanted to go. I had the recording, I had the trail, and here he was offering an interview. My futures editor at CNN, my mentor at the time, Steve Cassidy, thought it was too dangerous to go. He didn't give me the budget. He'd never approved the trip. So that meeting never happened. Weeks later, Omar Sheikh lured Daniel Pearl to a meeting in Karachi. Omar Sheikh handed him to Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, the man I had been chasing, who had been in Manila in 1994 and who would confess to masterminding 9/11. He murdered Danny with his own hand. The same network I had spent years tracking across Southeast Asia had reached Danny Pearl. I've lived with that distance every day since. The same man, the same city. Steve decided it was too dangerous for me to go. No one made the decision for Danny. So he went. He paid for the truth with his life. That is our work. We go to the place no one else will go to ask the question no one else will ask, and we carry the truth back so you don't have to go yourself. They killed Danny for it, and they filmed it to terrify the rest of us into silence. It didn't work, because here's what I've learned in the years since then. When people are afraid, fear spreads, yes, but you know this in LA, so does courage. Judea took the worst thing, he and his family took the worst thing that can happen to a family and turned it into a light for the rest of us. That is its own kind of courage, and it is humbling to stand inside it. The threat has changed shape since Karachi. The killers used to need a camera and a knife. Today, they have something faster. Technology that floods the world with lies, turns the truth teller into the criminal, and does it at a scale Danny's killers could never have imagined. The lie now travels faster than the fact. That isn't an accident, it's a design. And that is how democracy dies. Not with one blow, it's death by 1,000 cuts, right? With every cut, you bleed out until at some point, the body politic dies. So what do? We hold the line. We don't duck. We don't hide. Because you don't really know who you are until you're forced to fight for it. And in that fight, you find out you're not alone. It takes a network to beat a network. That takes all of us. To the journalists in the room, to the citizens in the room, fight for your rights now, because every day you don't, you get weaker. In 2019, I kept getting arrest warrants. I got it so often that I started to workflow how to post bail. 11 arrest warrants, 11 criminal charges. Rappler had 10, my news organization. It took us a decade to win those 10 cases for Rappler. I won 10, I still have one more left. in order to be here in front of you today, and my friends Ruben and Janet know this, I have to ask the Philippine Supreme Court for approval to travel. Still. So it takes much longer to claw back your rights than it is to protect them now. Carol knows this. I will say one thing, right? You gotta look at the Philippines, because with Jon Stewart, I told him what we're seeing in America today is the Philippinization of America. But here's where you can get the hope from. You hold the line. You do your job as journalists, because here I am in front of you, and the guy who tried to jail me for the rest of my life, he was arrested last year for crimes against humanity. And he's now in prison at The Hague waiting for trial, right? Justice does come, but you have to work. Some of Raptor's work is part of the evidence that's now used against him. Look, let me end with this. America's at a critical moment. What you do matters. You heard me tell Harvard students that. I'll go back to Danny. The question he answered with his life is the one I leave with you tonight. It's a question I asked in How to Stand Up to a Dictator. It hit number 3 on the New York Times bestseller list 2 years after it was published, which showed you what Americans were looking for, right? You gotta write about how we got to this place and time and what we need to do to get out of it. Because today, we are fighting for facts. Last year at the UN, I was choosing how to describe this moment. An information Armageddon or an information apocalypse? An apocalypse means the battle is over, right? So, because I'm an optimist, I am. This moment we are living through is an information Armageddon. That means the battle is now. This is the moment. If you value your rights, you have to jump in and answer the question Danny answered with his life. The question I asked Filipinos a decade ago, and Americans need to answer now. Simple question. What are you willing to sacrifice for the truth?